but good morning or good afternoon and good day to you wherever you are. So, if you don't know me already, my name is Jason Ellinger, and I talk about finance and getting wealthy and building wealth, but doing it not the way that not super fast, doing it the way that it actually works, and it's a blessing to your life, and that it actually sticks with you over time. And so, I know. We've got a lot of different messages out there in the marketplace. You're like, man, if I would have just invested in my Bitcoin, if I would have bought a Bitcoin back in 2009, I would have just become a billionaire by now by buying two or three Bitcoins or whatever. And that's not the kind of stuff I talk about on the channel because um, from the largest study that has ever been done in the history of mankind that we are aware of, maybe there was one pre digital environments, but the largest study that we ever have had said a few important facts about getting wealthy. And I, when I was 16 years old, I started learning about finance. In fact, this dawned on me today as I was in the gym. I was talking with my personal trainer in the gym, and we're working out there together. And my son's there. He's lifting weights, and I'm lifting weights, and we're working out together. And he was asking me, well, how do you know how do you know this stuff about finance and growing wealth? And I was like, well, when I was 16 years old, I started learning finance, and now I'm 39, or will be 39. And I studied finance all these years, and I learned about it, and I wanted to learn how to get out of the condition that my family had mostly been in up to that point, and transition, like change the family tree, and try to become like make the dreams that I had in my life come true. And so, as I worked on learning finance, my journey started when I was 16 years old. And as I was talking to my personal trainer about this, I looked over and I was like, my son is currently 16 years old. That was the age when I started learning about money. And that was the age when I started to put the disciplines in place. Just start doing the plan that caused us to be able to build multi-million dollar net worth before we were 40. And so a lot of people talk about how you can do that on TikTok and how you can just scale the TikTok channel and get up there. That's not how I did it. A lot of people say you can get on YouTube and make YouTube videos and just become a multimillionaire in 12 months. That's not how I did it. That's People say that you can buy Bitcoin and just do some kind of really cool spread and get into all these different liquidities and make your trades and then become rich. But that's not how I did it. Um, my way was the old fashioned hard work way of working really hard, saving a lot of money, investing, and doing it for a really long time. And if you're watching this video right now and you're 18 years old, I really hope you pay attention, because if you're not paying, like, if you just pay attention to what I say, and you can start saving 100 dollars a month. Sorry, I said euros. I have a farm in Europe and have land. I have a cattle herd over there, and so a lot of times we're talking in dollars or euros. Um, but anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But if you're 18 years old right now, and you can make an extra $100 a month and put it in a mutual fund, then you can have over $3.4 million when you're 67, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes. But how do we get there? How do we get to the point where we can consistently over many years do that? What happens? What all the time? What happens? In fact, I just went through this process with a friend of mine. He actually almost went bankrupt 2 years ago. We were talking with him and his wife. They came to talk to us, and we started working through the process of trying to help them in their business and figure out what was going on, what was going wrong, why they were having so much trouble. And the business model was relatively decent. The profit margins were pretty good. But the problem is that they took on an inordinate amount of capital, of debt up front. They went to every bank they could and took all kind of business loans so that they could start their company. And what happens when you do that is you think that everything's going to go perfectly. And the problem is it never goes perfect. In business, it never, ever, ever goes perfect. And in life never goes perfect. You have a plan, you think you're going to do this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. And that's why when I started learning about money when I was 16 years old, I said, I need a plan that's going to be able to be in coordination with how life works. Because my life at that time kind of sucked. It was pretty bad. Now life is amazing, but it's taking quite a long time to get here. Well, I was here, I guess, in this status for about 8, 9 years already, but it took a while to get here. But there is a process that works in good times and bad times, and that's the process that I talk about on this channel. And I'm giving to you for free. Like, you don't even have to go buy a course. I'm just going to deliver it to you in this live, and I'm going to tell you how to have multi-million dollar net worth. The younger you are, the better. Of course, if you're less than 30, you still got a great chance of doing it much easier. But if you're older than that, like I am, then it's going to take a little bit more work. But the point is, you can do it. It's absolutely in within reach. And if you've thought about investing negatively or heard like, well, people like us can't get rich, or people like us don't invest because the market's going to fall, the dollar's going to crash, and there's never not going to be any money left over. Uh, if that happens, like, we got better things to worry about. I mean, better be planting a garden and having a few cows or something at that point. Because if you don't, money's not going to matter a whole lot then. But it hasn't happened for the past 250 years. And the problem is, so many people are fear mongers and they say, well, I'm not going to invest because the dollar is just degrading. And what they don't realize is they don't do it, but the other guy over here does it all of their lifetime. And that person, when he retires, he has a few $1 million in the bank. And then, because they were fearful and afraid and didn't do anything all their life to build that pile of cash, they end up 65 years old and wondering how they're going to get by on Social Security, or social insecurity, which is what I call it. And I don't think that's a good plan. And so, as I was working with that couple 2 years ago, man, he sent me a message today. He sent me a message. He sent me a WhatsApp message. He said, "Hey, Jason, I just want to tell you, we have just completed our final payment on one of the biggest loans that we took 4 years ago when they started our business, and we just finally paid it off." And he and his wife are celebrating. They are so tired of working so hard to get out of debt, but they did it. And now they're completely debt free, and he makes a great income. He's going to be able to use all of his income to build his wealth for many, many years ahead. He's completely changed his heart and his mindset around money. And now he's able to engage in building wealth. And you and I can too, if we adhere to the principles that cause us to be able to build wealth. The first thing that so many people feel is impossible, but it's not impossible. We can actually do it. Absolutely do it. Is saving the first $1,000. If you're making 30,000 plus per year, your household income is more than that, then excuse me, and then $30,000 is enough. I'm sorry, then $1,000 is enough. Enough for the baby starter emergency fund. After the baby starter emergency fund, we move straight in to paying off all our consumer debt, including our cars. Well, I get 0% interest on forever, blah, 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 blah. I really don't care, because the people who make money and who have built wealth over many years, say time and time again. And like I told you, when we started this live, the largest research ever done in known history on millionaires in the United States of America today says that the biggest thing they did was invest in their retirement, pay off their home early, and kill all consumer debt in their life. Just completely get it out of their life. We don't realize the power of all of that interest that we're paying for many, 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 many years on our financial condition. And when we don't realize that, we think that we can somehow make it through. We can somehow tiptoe through this financial minefield and balance all of these payments and somehow make it to the top. And the problem is, you get to the end and you realize that all you did your entire life was buy stuff on credit and buy stuff using debt or credit cards, and find out, no, TikTok network is not good. Okay, thank you very much. Let me try to change the TikTok network. Uh, anyways, all you did was find out. All right, so we're going to switch to Wi-Fi on here. Hey, let me know if the TikTok network's any good now, please. I switched the network. So, and all you did was pay all of your life for different loans. Well, they said it was 0% interest. Guys, don't be so naive. No one loans money for free. Well, yes, they do. It's 0% interest. Nobody loans money for free. If you had money that you, a big pile of it, and you wanted to utilize that money, they don't give money out to people to unless they're making money. The only reason that anyone ever lends money is to make money on the money, unless you're some incredibly generous person and you just love loaning people money for free, which is very rare. But none of the businesses in the marketplace do that. And so, if you're going to establish place of business and they're saying we have 0% interest for blah, 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 it means that all of the interest is worked into the payment that you're going to be paying over however long. Okay. So don't fall into that trap. The money is in the price of the purchase. Well, how is that? It just is. All right. So the biggest point that we have to understand is the biggest point we have to understand is it's more about contentment and the condition of your heart and my heart in relation to wealth than it is about building, than it is about just making money. Because I've seen school teachers become multimillionaires, and I have seen physicians who make $500,000 a year be dismally, depressingly overloaded with debt and not even have hope not even have hope that they're going to be able to dig out. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I appreciate the comments that are coming through. Karina, make sure that I see any questions that I need to answer just so that I don't, disrespect anybody. I want to make sure that everybody that's on the call with me I definitely respect them. And guys, just know that as I work through this, I'm going to be working through the plan that I've used for all of my life that works. And so I just want to make sure that you understand that this the path that I started on 16 years ago when I started to work on building wealth. So I s- first I learned, and then I started to apply. So I started to save money for college, paid college, went to college for first 2 years, completely paid for all of that myself. After that, got into the United States Air Force. The Air Force helped me with the last 2 years of my university degree. So I finished that, got my bachelor's degree and an associate's of science and associate's of applied science and dental laboratory technology certification. So all those three things happened in my primary stages right there as I finished high school and college. Then after that, during my term in the Air Force, and I was in the Air Force for about little over 5 years. That's how long. I had like a 3-year contract and 2-year contract. I saved during that time about $100,000, and because we got our money from the Air Force, and I was investing that constantly every month, and then I got the money from my wife and I did side gigs, and we would do our side gigs, and we made probably about $20,000, 20 maybe $40,000 over that 5-year period, and all of that went into our money fund. And by the time I got out of the Air Force, we had about $100,000 saved up. Well, over the next 12 months, I spent most of that building a house. And we started our small business. That's the one that's called Taika Translations. You can go see it. It's at taikatranslations.com. That's the business that I actually operate day in and day out. I'm the CEO of the company. My wife is the CFO, and we have about 15 other team members that work with us to do the daily operations, plus about 9,000 vendors who work with us worldwide. So lots of cool stuff there. And then we bought ourselves a piece of property in Europe, and we built a farm in Europe. So now we have place in the United States, we have places in Europe, and we go back and forth between the States and Europe multiple times per year. And so if you're wondering if this stuff works, it freaking works. It's not pizzazzy, it's not snazzy, it simply works. So the first step you have to do is get $1,000 in the bank. The second thing you have to do is pay off all your consumer debt, be out of debt in everything possible except your home as quickly as possible. And on the home, it's a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. That's it. That's all you get. And you pay it off in 15 years. Once you're done paying your home off in 15 years, then we can move forwards. Before we get to paying our home off, step three is 3 to 6 months emergency fund. That's a fully funded emergency fund in the bank. That means you take your minimum. That means you take your minimum household expenses per month, and then you look at your job situation and say, how secure am I in my job? Do I have a really secure job, or do I have a risky job, or am I at risk of losing my job, or do I have a seasonal job? And if that's the case, you need to buff up that a little more. But in any case, you look at that, you get a 3 to 6 months for emergency fund. So step number one, $1,000 in the bank. Step number two, pay off all your consumer debt. You have no debt whatsoever at all, and you promise and pinky spit swear to never ever get in debt again for the rest of your life. That alone will probably make you a millionaire if you do nothing else but do those two things and then start saving money. All right. So third thing, 3 to 6 months emergency fund. We covered that. Next, 15% of your household income before tax. Whatever you make in your household before tax, 15% of that amount goes into investment for retirement. And so the reason it's a percentage and not a number is because it has to be a percentage so that it doesn't overweigh this section of your budget. Now, you move it up when you can, but at this point, it's 15%, and you start as early as possible after you've got all of your debt paid off. And this is super, super important. After this, oh, somebody asked, where do I put that money? Oh, where you put the money. Okay, did somebody comment? Did somebody ask Down South Farms? Hey, Down South Farms, what's up, guys? Karina, I'm sorry, I didn't see this pop up on the screen. Did somebody ask a question? If you did, please let me know. Karina, if you see that, definitely copy and paste it into the chat here so I can see it. All right, so after that, you get your 15% and you have to put it in something. Okay, what do you put it in? Now listen, don't freaking overcomplicate this piece. Don't overcomplicate it. If you don't have a lot of money and you're just starting out, open yourself a Roth IRA and start putting money in. Just put it in a Roth IRA mutual fund, and you'll go in there, open your account. You can do this through Schwab. You can do this through Vanguard. You can do this through multiple other companies, and just find a mutual fund that has a Roth option and start putting your money in it. And don't worry if you get it wrong. It's fine. Once you start putting money in it and you start expanding this muscle, this investment muscle, and you do it month after month after month after month, and you learn a little bit more about the finance side of things, then you can transfer it, you can move it, you can do a direct transfer into another Roth that's better, bigger, better, faster, has more options, and then it grows over time and it grows tax free. So you pay tax on it now. When you get to retirement age, you can take your money out from there and it's completely tax free, and it continues to grow. Like that is the freaking ridiculous part. Like, ah, guys, if you just put money, all right, I'll go through some numbers in a minute, but if you just put money in the account and it grew to say $3 million, so, and if you got a really mundane interest rate, like I'm talking 10%. You just got 10%. So do you know what 10% of $3 million is? That sounds very close to about $300,000 per year, doesn't it? That means you make $300,000 per year that you could just spend, and the principal never goes down. It never disappears. You're like, well, that's impossible to make $3 million on an investment. I can't do that. We don't. How do you even build that much money? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Are you 18 years old or 18 to 20 years old? Because if you're 18 to 20 years old right now, all you need is $100. $100 a month. You're like, what? You need $100 a month. If you're 18 right now, you need $100 a month. Put it in a mutual fund, just a plain Jane mutual fund that does pretty good, that has good ratings. And as you do that for every single month until you're 67. Even if you do absolutely nothing else but that one thing, you'll have a multi-million dollar net worth when you hit 67. And when you have $3.5 million, because I did numbers earlier, if you're 18 years old and you have zero in the bank and you invest $100 a month and you have actually a 12% interest rate over the lifetime, because the longer time you have in the market, the better chances you have of having a better interest rate are. And you have 12% interest rate over the lifetime of your investment, which I have, all of my investments are actually doing better than that. Then you end up with $3.4 million. So 3.465, pretty much $3.5 million. Just budget here or there. If you got 12 and a half, then it would already be over that. So you get $3.5 million by the time you're 67, and you have no payments. You have nothing else to worry about. Your house is paid off. You have paid off cars, and you have an income that you could spend without the principal ever going away of $300,000 every single year. Now, for many of you out there, that's a shocker. And that's why I'm telling you, if you are in America today, let's real quick see Caroline's comment. You put the money in an account that builds interest on an investment, never a regular account. That is correct. Put the money in an account that builds interest on an investment. It's in America. I don't know where, I don't remember where you're from, Caroline or Carolina. I think you're from the USA, but if you're not from the USA, then simply this is a tax sheltered investment account called a mutual fund. And a mutual fund, I was talking to my buddy at the gym again today. He was like, well, what is a mutual fund? Well, I said the mutual fund is like a bucket. So I'm a farmer, helping people understand this stuff very, very plainly. A mutual fund is a bucket, and a Roth mutual fund is a bucket that has a shield from taxes. All right, what's in the bucket? So a whole bunch of companies have their stocks in this bucket. About 200, I guess about 180 to 250, I think is the max, somewhere around there. Different companies have their stocks in the bucket. So Jason, comes along and he looks at the bucket and is like, hey, I like what's in that bucket. And I put my money in there. And when I put my money in there, it spreads it out into all of those companies, and I buy a piece of all the companies. And my friend said, well, what if the company goes bankrupt? And I said, well, it's a very good question. The Bible says, spread your portion, yes to 7, yes to 8, because you don't know what disaster may come upon the land. Many of you know I'm a Bible believing Christian, so of course I know the Bible reference for those, right? So yeah, what if the company does go bankrupt, like it has happened many times in history? Well, what do? Well, the company goes bankrupt, those stocks disappear, and you lose the value on those stocks inside the bucket, inside that investment. But there's 200 other companies in there. And it's very unlikely for all 200 companies to go bankrupt at the same time and for you to lose everything. If that happens, probably a whole big other tragedy in the marketplace. And I don't know what you're going to do with it. But it hasn't happened ever. Ever. So in fact, there are funds that have been created even before the Great Depression. I think the first fund that I ever heard about that's still in existence to this day was made by Benjamin Franklin. And we all know who Benjamin Franklin is, right? This dude made a fund that would help people go to school. And I think there's still, to this day, you can get a scholarship from the Benjamin Franklin a scholarship fund, but you have to go through some kind of qualifications. But it's crazy. So that means it was through the Civil War, through World War I, the biggest collapses in financial history in the United States of America, and through the Great Depression, and through World War II, and through all the other wars that happened down in South Texas and Santa Ana, the Alamo, because I'm from Texas, so that's important. And all of the other shifts in the Civil War, everything, and made it through all of that, and is still in existence today. Well, now all of a sudden, everything's different now. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a world war on the horizon, maybe, but his fund made it through the past 245 years? And I'm pretty sure we don't live in worse times than that. Maybe we do, but I'm pretty sure we don't. So the point is, you come along, you put your money in the interest-bearing account. It makes. I have funds that make well in excess of 10% per year. Some years they've been up like in the 20-something percent. You're like, how in the world do you do that? You got to find it. I have an advisor and I work with that handles my investments. But I had to get up to that point. But at first, I didn't do any of that. At first, I simply committed to believing that over time, if I save money and put it in and invest it in an account that bears interest, that I will grow wealth. I just believed that at first, and turned out to be true. I've been investing since I was 18. And since that time, those investments have grown year by year by year, no matter what has happened. Even in the 2007, 2008 collapse. I remember my colleague at work in 2000, in the 2008 collapse, real estate market crash. Oh my gosh. Oh, it was so bad. He was about 55 years old, and the market started going down. And he had his money invested in the market. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, the sky is falling, the market's crashing." And he took all his money out of the investments. And my other colleague, he tried to convince him not to. I remember I was young at the time. I was like 22 years old or 21 years old at the time. And my other colleague, knew a thing or two about finances, he was like, "Well, don't take your money out." He was begging and pleading with this 55-year-old guy to not take his money out. He's like, "If you take it out now, you confirm all of your losses and you secure your losses." That's what Warren Buffett says. If you take it down at the bottom, you secure your losses. If you just leave it in there, you have a great chance that it's going to it's going to grow over many years. And so now what happened? Well, he took his money out, he secured his losses. My buddy, the other guy, he left his money in because he was about 50 at the time, 48. He was about 48. And he left his money in. And within a period of 2 years, the money got back to where it was and exceeded the original investment account. And then it just boom, skyrocketed. But that other guy, he took his money out and he lost all the growth they could have acquired over those next 5 years. And it was so depressing to see that. And the guy was angry about it. He knew he did wrong. Like, he knew that he screwed up at that point. And so you've got to ride the market. The longer the money is in the market, the better chance you have at succeeding and prospering long term. And that's the point here. But the problem is, so many of us get into the place where we can't invest long term. That's the big problem. We start to invest early, we get the cart before the horse, and all of a sudden life happens, and we didn't have a good plan to deal with that. And now we have to extract the money from the investments. We have to take the money from everywhere possible so that we can deal with life. And now we kill both, because likely we have, if you're doing that, you also have debt. So the debt's sucking your money out. You suck your money out of the investments, and all of a sudden now you kill your ability to prosper and build wealth. And so what I want to share with you is how to set up your financial life to where then when that screwy stuff happens, you don't keep hitting your head against the wall and going backwards. Continue going forwards, even through some of the toughest times of our life. With my wife and I, financially, we've still gone forwards because we set up a system in our life that would work long term, and we just believe that, okay, if we do this, if we save money in an interest bearing account in good times and in bad, hopefully we come out ahead. And I can say, after many years of investing, that is very, very much the case. And it will be the case for you too. But you just have to get started, and you have to set yourself up right. And so setting yourself up right looks like $1,000 in the bank, paying off your consumer credit cards and all of your consumer credit, including your cars, everything that has any credit attached to it whatsoever, except for your house, and then putting your 3 to 6 months emergency fund in place based on your job volatility, and then the 15% per month from your household income before tax into a tax sheltered investment. After that, you can decide on your kids' college, but not before that. So many people want to do everything at the same time. Well, I have to save for an emergency fund. I have to save for, I have to get my investment started, and I have to save for my kids' college, and I have to pay off my home early. And now I have to, now I have to figure out how I'm not going to go broke when I'm retired. How do I do this all at the same time? You don't. You don't do it all at the same time. You do one thing at a time, and you focus intensely on that step until it is done. Well, what if it takes me 6 months? Then it takes you 6 months. If it takes you 6 months to get $1,000 in the bank, I think you just need to go. If it's going to take you 6 months to get a job at the $1,000 in the bank, then you just need to go get a part-time job real quick. Go walk some dogs, sell all the stuff in your garage, sell the old boots, I mean, I heard something the other day. Somebody told me that I had an old pair of cowboy boots in my garage that are just beat up, and I put them on eBay, and somebody bought them for 250 bucks because somebody in another country thought it was really cool to have a really cool pair of roughed up boots, and it would make them look really cool when they go to the nightclub. Well, and he bought them for 250 bucks. Well, go figure. So guys, so guys, you have stuff that you have available in your vicinity that you can sell. Sell everything that's not attached to the floor. Sell everything that sell so much stuff that you even like, whoa, I sold that. Yeah, sell it all until you have $1,000 in the bank, and then supplement your income by go walking dogs, do some babysitting, and maybe even go deliver some pizzas if you have to. But get $1,000 in the bank, and this is the hardest part for so many people because it means they're going to have a mind shift to move towards a plan that works, a different plan than what they've been doing. Though nonchalant, willy nilly, living like whatever we want to live to, and hopefully someday being wealthy, it's not going to work. You have to be intentional. I had to be intentional in order to be able to build a multi-million dollar net worth. And you are going to be too. Nobody gets out of it. We don't get a free card. There is no get out of jail free card. You can't, I mean, maybe, well, once in a while, that guy's going to make a blow up a TikTok channel or make a YouTube channel or invest in a Bitcoin, trade two pizzas for a Bitcoin and somehow is going to become a billionaire. But for the most of us out there, including me, that's not how it works. How it works is we invest a little money, as much as we can, over a long period of time, and grow our wealth step by step by step. And that, for normal people, you got a job, you pay off all your debt. Well, what if it takes me 2 years to pay off all your debt? Well, what if it takes you 25 years to pay off all your debt and you never pay off all your debt? And that 25 years, you miss out on all the compound interest and growth that you could have had if you would have paid off all your debt in 2 years. What if? What if you could pay off your debt in less than 2 years? And all of a sudden, you have that income to now invest. And remember, I said at the beginning, I'm starting to yell because I'm getting excited. I'm very passionate about this because I want you to have some hope in your life, for Christ's sake. I want people to have hope because hope is available to you if you just start the process of working through it and do it. If you just do it, I've done it. It's great. I'm doing it too. I'm doing it all right alongside you. And it's been amazing. The journey's been amazing. And we're going up and to the right. But you've got to get started now. If you don't get started now, nobody's going to do it for you. And someday comes way faster than you think. I'm 39 right now. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm 39? I'm 30 freaking 9. Yeah. And I'm really glad I started investing a long time ago because we wouldn't be where we are today unless we did that. My wife and I made a commitment to work on that together. So guys, we've got to start. We've got to start now. I hope you feel some urgency in my voice because I'm passionate about this, because so many people can have so much hope, and you can change your family tree if you just get in and get after it. And don't keep believing all that crap on the internet. Just start saving money. Start where you are, not where you want to be. Start where you are and move forwards. And the process is very, very simple. $1,000 in the bank, pay off your debt, your consumer debt, 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. Once you set that up, you are now in a position to where when life screws with you, and it's gonna screw with you, one time in 7 to 8 years, you're gonna have a major financial setback. And if you have a 3 to 6 months in emergency fund, guess what happens in that setback time? You don't get set back because you could keep charging forwards because you have an emergency fund. Well, after the emergency fund, after I use $10,000 out of my $20,000 emergency fund, what do? Well, you stop, you refill the emergency fund, and you start back working through the baby steps. Well, how am I going to get wealthy? It's going to make you wealthy over time. This is called the discipline that works over time. So $1,000 in the bank, paying off consumer debt, 3 to 6 months in the emergency fund, 15% of your household income before tax in an investment. And then you pay off your home early because your home is now on a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. Well, I don't have a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. I just want to do a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And then I want to pay it off early. You will not pay it off early. Why? Because life is going to happen. You know it, and I know it too. And I'm not going to pay off a 30-year loan early if I have the opportunity. I'm sorry. I'm not going to pay off a 30-year loan early if I can wait 30 years. Why would I do that? I can take that money and put it in investment, and I can just stop. Remember, the more time you spend paying other people's stuff, the less time you have to invest and build wealth on your interest bearing money in your accounts. And more than that, it's tax sheltered, which is freaking ridiculous in America today. So if you're 18 years old right now, if you're 25 years old, let's do a 25-year old. How much money do you need? 25 years old to become a millionaire when you're 67. 25 years old, you have zero in investments. And let's just say, I'm guessing you need to save around $250 a month. You're going to save $250 a month and you're going to make 12%. All right. Oh, actually, that's much more than 2 million. All right. Let's do this. Let's just go $200 a month. $200 a month. If you're two, all right. So there you go. That's too much. It's still too much. You still end up with too much money. That's the problem here. If you invest if you're currently 25 and you invest $200 a month, you still end up with too many millions here. Let me go. Let me go back a little bit. Let's go to 150. If we can get it to 2 million, I think that'll be good. Okay, let's say 150. So if you are currently 25 years old, guys, if you're watching this, send it to your kids. If you're 45 years old, send it to your children. Send it to your kids who are in college. Send it to your friend's kid. Send it to your godson or daughter. Send it to somebody who cares. And let them know that if they're 25 or younger and they invest $150 per month into an interest bearing account that makes 12% over the lifetime of the investment. And don't argue with me about the percentage that you can't get. I've got it for many, many years, and you can too. Then you will have $2.2 million by investing $150 a month. Oh my freaking gosh. I hope you like the pizza. I hope you like the car payment that's $700 a month. I hope you like the microwave that costs you $150 a month in payments. Oh my gosh, there's so many payments out there that we're spending money on that we don't realize that are stealing every chance that we have at building wealth for the future and helping those around us. Because ultimately, what is the goal? The goal is to build so much wealth that you can share it with others. Just imagine if everybody on your street was in the process of growing wealth and everybody in your church in all the whole congregation together, you were sitting there and you were working through the plan to be able to become debt free, live on less than you make, and then invest over time. And everybody in the church became a multi-millionaire. How many people in your community would need anything? Probably nobody, because everybody'd be freaking rich. But how come everybody's living paycheck to paycheck in debt up to their eyeballs and afraid that at the end of the month, the money has already ended? There's too much month left at the end of the money. Why? Why do we live like that? Americans, we shouldn't live like that. We have access to the most amazing wealth building systems in the world. And yet we live with a spirit of discontentment that causes us to not prosper again and again and again. All right, I got a comment on the screen here. I just want to make sure I address it. Carolina, um, or no, it's Gary O0901. You say it's a great feeling. You just paid off your house and vehicle. You have your 401k health savings account, awesome, and you started three $15,000 annuities, no debt. The only thing I would change there, Gary, is I wouldn't do the annuities, and I just say that straight to you because I think you can do the proof is in the pudding. You can do much better most of the time without the annuities. And I don't know what your specific situation is, but I wouldn't do the annuities. Insurance is never a good investment vehicle. I'm not going to argue that point while I'm doing this live right now, but I don't. I would never recommend an insurance vehicle to do your investing. Should be kept in investing like a mutual fund. You'll do much better off. So guys, thank you. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for that comment. I really appreciate that. I want to be as kind as possible while we're talking through some of this stuff. And I definitely don't want to degrade anyone, but when you're doing your investing, keep your investments in your investments, keep your insurance in your insurance. Insurance is a very, very important part of staying invested over time, because if you pay, for example, just a very minimal amount of money and you're young and healthy and strong, and you can have access to multi-million dollars in the event that something bad happens to you, and you can take care of your loved ones that way. We'll have to get into those in different master classes, different lives down the road. But the point, guys, is you have to get started. And you have to get started now. If you're 39, you can still do it. It's going to take more money and be a little bit more difficult, but you probably make more money because you're a little older and you've been in the marketplace longer and you have a lot more marketplace value that way. So if you're making more money, you're able to invest more money. You pay off your home early, and you just work through the steps. You don't jump forward. You don't invest before you save money. You just move through the steps one at a time. And it makes it very, very simple, very painfully simple. And that's the hard part to me. It's so painfully simple that anybody can do it. Somebody with a seventh grade education. You don't have to be highly educated. You don't have to be from the United States of America. You don't have to be privileged. You don't have to be any of those things. In fact, the top five people, the top five positions, I don't know if I can name all the top ones from that study that I was talking about. The biggest study of millionaires that has ever been done in North America, from the top five, physician is not even in the top five. Attorney barely makes the top five. And you're like, well, attorneys and physicians, they make the most money. Yeah, but they don't, but they end up falling into the trap that all the rest of us fall in. That we start to be discontent, and we start to compare ourselves to everybody else, and we start to compare what we have to what we could have. And they get the cart before the horse, and they don't do their investing before, they don't do their savings before they do in their investing. And then life happens to them, and this, that, and the other happens to them. And then they invest in three or four annuities because their friends all started selling insurance. And all of a sudden, they're well, very far behind. They're super stressed. And all of a sudden, they lose their job and they have to go travel they're out of a job for 6 months, and they have to go to another a hospital, and all that time they're not making their income, and they get behind with their bills, and they end up in a terrible, terrible, horrible situation. You would be amazed how many pay, high earning people are so far behind in their bills that they cannot even breathe. In fact, in the wealthy areas of your city right now in America today, in the wealthy areas of your city and mine, you count 10 kids on the 10 kids, you count 10 houses on the block, at least 8 of them are highly stressed about money, and most likely 9. So it's 9 out of 10 of those homes is highly stressed about money. What kind of society do we live in if that's the society that we're producing for each other? And I don't want to live in the society like that anymore. That's why I'm doing these YouTube videos. That's why I'm doing the TikTok videos. All right, I'm checking TikTok real quick. A lot of people live way beyond their means, which is the antithesis of wealth. Yes, yes, Caroline, exactly right. We live outside beyond our means. So how do we fix all that? Well, I just talked about the plan. Okay. Well, how do we actually do that? So in the next live stream, I'm going to talk about how to make a budget. We're going to go over exactly how to make a budget and how you live on less than you make. And we'll get started with the very first budget making that I did way long ago. Like when I started, we simply used a an Excel sheet, but of course it's going to be, we'll talk about much more modern technologies than that. But when I started way back when I was, well, okay, I'll just fast forward to when I was married, 21 years old. We got married, and my wife and I, we just use an Excel spreadsheet. She made a cool Excel spreadsheet, and actually to this day, some of our budgeting is actually done on Google spreadsheets. So that's why we have access globally as a family. So, guys, um, all right, I want to do a recap just so that I deliver exactly what I told everyone I would. All right, real quick recap here. If you want to get wealthy, if you are, okay, recap and final comment here. If you're less than 25 years old, or if you're 25 years old and less, it's going to take you $150 per month in a mutual fund that's tax sheltered, that makes 12% over the lifetime of the investment, to be able to grow a $2+ million nest egg. $150 a month. I hope that shocks you and just shakes your soul, and that you start actually doing it. If you're older than that, it's going to take a little more, but you got to get started now. However, if you're not in a place where you can invest, which means, how do we know if we're not in a place we can invest? It means you don't have a 3 to 6 months emergency fund, and you have any consumer debt or car payments. You have any consumer debt or car payments, you are not ready to start investing. If you don't have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, you are not ready to start investing. You most likely will fail. Do not start until you have those steps done. The first step is 1,000. Second step is pay off all consumer debt and get busy paying it off because it's freaking scary when you don't have any money. And then the third step is to put the 3 to 6 months emergency fund in place. The fourth step is to invest 15%. That's where we start our investment. Don't forget, don't get the cart before the horse. This is retirement investment, by the way. This isn't even counting extra supplemental investments. And we'll talk about that on this channel as we move forward. If you do these 4 steps, if you start working on these 4 steps today, I want to know about it, guys. Send me a comment in the chat. And send me, yeah, drop a comment in the chat section on here or in the chat section on YouTube. Drop me a freaking comment and let me know. Let me know what step you are. Are you in 1, 2, 3, or 4? There's 7 total steps. The last step is create wealth that creates wealth that allows you to be a giver. Create wealth that creates wealth that allows you to be a giver. Because when you have $10 million sitting in the bank, guess what happens? You make $1 million per year if you just make it 10%. And most likely, you're going to make more than 10%. Just what happens if you make $1 million per year just off your money that's sitting in the account? Or if you get old and you're, when you get old, not if you get old, when you get old and you want to leave an inheritance to your children, there's an account there with $15 million in it because you just couldn't even spend it all. And you got 90 years old and you have an account that has 15, $20 million in there and that your kids can inherit. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. And then they can start where they are and build wealth. That's freaking amazing to me. How many people could we bless? Could we help? How many people in our community could have their needs met if we simply started on the process that makes wealth grow? And so that's what I talk about on this channel. And I plead with you, start now. Like the video, follow us on here, subscribe wherever you're watching, drop us a comment, share it with a friend because I'm just talking about how to build wealth. It's not something that I've not done. It's not something that you're gonna have to pay me for to get the information from. I just talk about this week after week and answer any of the questions that you have about building wealth over time. It's something I currently do. I've been doing this since the time I was 16 after I started learning until I'm 39 right now, and I'm gonna continue to do it until the day I die because it freaking works. I've tried it, I've tested, I've tried it. Hundreds of thousands, millions of other people have tested and tried it, and it freaking works. So you get the plan for free. You get access to answering the questions. It's part of my ministry in this life. It's part of me, being grateful for what I have been given, and I want to make sure that I'm giving as much as I can to you all as well, and producing that value and growing that trust in the marketplace. And so, guys, as you hang out with me, if you follow the step, you will grow your wealth. You will get wealthy over time. Now, we can talk about all the other business stuff too, but that's separate. What we're talking about here is growing wealth from where you are. And so, I hope you enjoyed the content today. I hope that was very useful and meaningful to you, and I hope that you're started already in your journey for building wealth. And that if you are, I want to know about it. I want you to like the channel. I want you to subscribe, and I want you to follow us on here. And I look forward to serving you again in the near future on any way I can in explaining finances. Like Gary, you mentioned the annuities. If you want more information on that, I'll be happy to send you some resources and also type you an explanation myself as to why I think it's not a good investment. And I'll be happy to share that with you. So, guys, thank you so much for being part of the lives today. And if you got questions, drop them, and I will see you in the next live. Thank you. Bye.